I'm going to have to have a word with whichever idiot scheduled me to follow that. And just before the lightning talks, this, I hope, will be the fastest annual general meeting we've ever done. If you're particularly nice, I'll do a dance behind the screen for you. So this is the annual general meeting of the UK Python Association, or if you like for short, the AGM of the UKPA. I know some of you are here for the first time, so a very, very brief potted history. The UKPA is a registered charity, and it is the body that is behind this conference. It was registered 3 years ago, and we are obliged to hold this meeting. If you are here, you are entitled to be a member of the UKPA. We actually asked you when you bought your ticket as well, but if you didn't click that box and you have decided you would like to be a member, that's absolutely fine. So when we come on to voting later, each and every one of you sitting here now is perfectly eligible to vote and to be a member of the UKPA. Actually, you didn't buy your ticket from the UKPA. We have a much older organisation, a limited company called the Python UK Society Limited. That actually holds all of the money right now, and that's where you bought your ticket from. For reasons we'll come on to, we are in the process of moving that over to the UKPA, but it's a bit more complex than any of us ever thought when we took this on, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. A charity is run by a board of trustees, and I'd just like to introduce those. We have two types of trustee. Firstly, we have up to 6 elected trustees, elected by you, the members. At the moment, we have 4 of those positions filled, and those are me, Owen Campbell, and Tanya Allard. Give us a wave, Tanya. The others are Christian Glass, who some of you may know from years of Python UK, but he's unfortunately unable to be with us this weekend. And the final elected trustee is Cecilia Lau, who was elected this time last year, but is also unable to be with us this year. In addition to that, one of the jobs of the elected trustees is to appoint the conference director each year, which of course at the moment is Daniele, and whoever holds that role also then becomes a trustee. So those at the moment are our 5 trustees, but we can actually go up to 6 elected trustees if those people are available. I am obliged to stand here and give you a report of how we've done over the year. There is a formal document which we have to submit to the Charity Commission each year. If any of you wants to see that in detail, come and find me. I'm not going to go through it in detail here, because if I delay the start of the lightning talks, I can imagine just how popular I'll be. A few highlights from it. When I stood here this time last year and gave you the financial report, it was very easy. We had no bank account, we had no money, we'd had no income, and we had incurred no expenditure. That's changed a little bit. We now have a bank account, it's in operation. We've taken about £5,000 in donations, and we've incurred some minor expenditure that comes to about £100. So at the moment, the charity has about just below £5,000 in reserves. The bulk of the monies from the conference is still sitting within the limited company that's run the conference for some years. And the next bit of business that we need to do, I stood here last year and asked for your permission to change our charitable objects. Now, this is a statement in our constitution that defines what is the charity for. And we felt as trustees there was a restriction in there because the wording means that we can only operate within the UK. And we'd seen a couple of circumstances of things like PyCon Africa happening abroad that we, as trustees, would like to support, and right now we can't because our constitution won't allow it. And so I stood here last year and asked for your permission to try and change that. We put a form of words to you. Fortunately, you all said yes, that was something that you would like to do, and we went off to the Charity Commission and submitted that wording, and they turned us down. Fortunately, they didn't reject the principle of what we were trying to do. They had no problem with that. They just didn't like the wording. And we'll come on in a minute as to what we'd like to do about that. We had a second change to the Constitution that we asked your permission for, which was the fact that we'd used a standard document when we registered the charity, and it was full of gendered language throughout. We didn't feel that was appropriate. We wanted to change it. We made all of those changes, thanks to Transcode, who put a lot of effort this time last year to do that. Those changes were accepted. The Charity Commission were quite happy with that, so that one's done. So one yes, one a little bit more work. So, to the future. First of all, our first piece of business, we the trustees have a proposal to put to you. We would still like to remove this restriction in our constitution that says that we can only operate within the UK. That is what we're trying to achieve here. The mistake we made last year was by giving you a form of words, asking for your permission to submit that, and then having it turned down by the Charity Commission, and there wasn't much else we could do. So, we think that we can have a proper discussion with the Charity Commission, and we can probably find a form of words that fits us all. A form of words that we're happy will remove that restriction, and will keep the Charity Commission happy that we fulfilled all of our legal obligations. And so what we'd like to do is to ask for your permission to go away and make that happen in the next 12 months. So I'm not going to stand here and say, this is exactly what we want the form of words to be, because that didn't work out terribly well last year. We'd just like your permission to go and make that happen with the intention of removing that restriction. If you're happy to give us that permission, please raise your hand. Well, this is getting close to where I'm going to have to do a dance. If anybody is not happy with that, please raise your hand. And if anybody has I should have done this first. If anybody has anything they'd like to ask me about this, I should have done it before we voted, but please feel free to do so now. I've got a question at the back. I don't suppose we've got a microphone up there, have we? You're going to have to shout. Oh yeah, I can't hear that. I do? You really want me to dig it out? Okay. Right, the original wording in our constitution was that the... Oh, I haven't even got my glasses. Anybody read this? What's that there?
Which section is this? The objects of the UKPA are to advance education for the public benefit in the use and understanding of the Python programming language within the UK by organising, presenting, and promoting Python-related conferences, meetings, and events at venues in the UK.
Thank you, Daniele. And that comes from the original PyCon UK Society that ran this conference for many years. We simply took exactly the same wording, and that's how we started the UKPA. But we want to remove that restriction. Any further questions? Right. Strictly speaking, I'm going to do that vote again. Do we have permission, now that we've had that clarification, to go away and attempt to renegotiate this with the Charity Commission? If you're happy with that, please raise your hand. Thank you. And if you're not happy, I'll give you a dance at the end. You've deserved it. Thank you very much indeed. The final piece of business is that we need to renew our Board of Trustees each year. So we have a board of up to 6 elected trustees. I've told you at the moment we have 4. That means there are 2 vacancies. In addition to that, a third of the elected trustees have to stand down each year, and that's done in order of how long they've served. So at the moment there are 4 of us. That means 1 of us has to step down. I know there's a rounding issue. You can read it in the Constitution. It's definitely 1, I promise you. I am currently the longest serving trustee, so that means it's me that has to step down this year. So I now resign as a trustee. I have previously asked for permission to continue chairing this meeting whilst I'm not a trustee right now, and the other trustees didn't fancy taking over from me, so I'm going to continue. That means we have 3 vacancies, and as luck would have it, we have 3 candidates, which means I don't have to organise a ballot. What I'd like to do is to introduce them to you, so they'll just come up the front and give us a wave, and one by one I will ask for a show of hands as to whether we're happy for these people to be elected. The first one is me. I would like to stand for re-election and become a trustee once again. Next, in the order that they're standing here, Vincent Knight and David Spademan. So to do this properly, I'm really trying to get through as fast as possible because, lightning talks. So, first of all, could I have a show of hands of anybody who is happy to elect me as a trustee once again? Thank you kindly. I'm going to have to do this dance, aren't I? And anybody who is against that? No? Excellent. Thank you. The same again for Vincent Knight. Everybody who's in favour? Everybody who's against? Excellent. Thank you. And finally for David, everybody in favour? Anybody against? Fantastic. That has to be the quickest AGM I think I've ever delivered in my life. And I'm now... There you are. That's as close as you get to a dance. Thank you very much.